When you think about The Legend of Zelda, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Maybe it's the adventure, the dungeons, or the exploration, but for me, it's the fishing. Okay, well maybe it might not be the first thing that comes to mind, but it's something that I always enjoy whenever it gets added to the games. When you're spending all your time saving Hyrule, sometimes you just need to take a break, have some time to unwind, and that's what fishing's for. For many of you watching this, your first memories of fishing in Zelda games will probably have been with Ocarina of Time's fishing hole. However, its debut in the series predates this entry, as it actually originated in Link's Awakening, where it takes place in the quaint Mabe village. It's a cute little minigame where you can catch fish and get rupees and heart pieces for your efforts. The original version is pretty simple, but the Switch remake added a couple of extra features to spice things up. For example, it introduced 3 differently weighted lures you can use to help catch bigger fish, and sometimes you can even find bloopers and cheeps in the water too. If you look hard enough, you may even find a hidden item, which blew my mind when I first played through this game. For the longest time, I thought there was only one empty bottle in Link's Awakening, but as it turns out, if you cast your line into the reeds at the bottom of the pond in just the right spot, you'll hear a clinking sound effect as your fishing rod latches onto something. When you reel it out, it reveals that what was hiding in the depths was another empty bottle that you can add to your inventory. Things really start to get good in Ocarina of Time though, where you can visit the humble fishing hole in an isolated corner of Lake Hylia. All you need to do is pay a small fee of 20 rupees and you can chill there and fish to your heart's content. This place is such a relaxing vibe. When you're there, you just feel so distant from the battles, the conflict, the dungeons. It's just you, the rod, and the pond. The music that plays here is also the same soundtrack as Kakariko Village, which is a perfect fit for the mellow vibes this place gives off. What's more is that in most isolated areas of Ocarina of Time that aren't part of Hyrule Field, time tends to stop and your surroundings won't change from day to night. Here in the fishing hole, however, that's not the case, as you get to see the days go by as you sink hours into this minigame. Nothing quite beats the feeling of being here as the sun sets. It's quite a magical thing to experience. As for the fishing mechanics themselves, there's a surprising amount of depth here. You cast your line out, wait for a bite, and the second you see it happen, you gotta be ready. The fish will try its best to escape, and you need to resist by tilting the control stick in the opposite direction of its movement. Bigger fish will take a mammoth effort to reel in, and if you're not persistent enough, the line will break and you'll lose your chance to catch them. There is something that can make your life easier though, which you might find if you walk around the outskirts of the pond, around either where this little crack in the wall is or where these reeds are. What you'll stumble upon is something truly despicable, something horrifying, something that breaks the very rules of this fishing hole and goes against everything the fishing community stands for: a sinking lure. With this, you can very easily reel in pretty much any fish that you want, even the elusive Hylian loach. Try and show this to the owner though, and he is not having any of it. Sure, he'll put your fish on display, but your legacy will forever be tarnished by the fact that you used an illegal lure to capture it. Speaking of breaking the rules, you might notice that the sign next to the pond says not to cast your line at other people. This seems oddly vague. I mean, there's only one other person at the fishing hole, being the owner. It probably doesn't mean anything, right? Well, let's just say, for argument's sake, hypothetically speaking, if you were to just completely disregard this rule and stand in just the right position and throw out your fishing rod at just the right angle to face the owner, in this situation you'd fish his hat off, revealing his hairline. If you're feeling devious, you can throw his hat into the lake, but I have to warn you, do this at your own risk. My guy is none too pleased by this revelation and will hit you with a 50 rupee fine for being such a menace. After Ocarina of Time came Wind Waker, and I mean, come on, a game where you become a man of the sea, sailing the vast oceans and travelling from island to island. Surely the perfect game to elevate the fishing mechanics of the Zelda series to the next level, right? Surely the game that will break the boundaries and let you fish whenever you want, whether you're on the sandy beaches or out at sea. Wait, what's that? There's no fishing in this game? But why not? I don't get it. The logic doesn't logic. The opportunity was right there. They had a whole great sea to play with, and yet they did nothing with it. Ironically enough, the next Zelda game to feature fishing was the one that came directly after Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. And even more ironically, this was the game that let you fish in any body of water. Not the game whose whole gimmick was having an entire sea to explore. No, Twilight Princess. It's actually a mandatory part of the story in this one. When you're initially running errands in Ordon Village, a shopkeeper's cat goes missing, so naturally you, and not the cat's owner, have to catch some fish to bring it back. Now, while you can fish anywhere you please, if you're looking for something more traditional, then there is a fishing hole at the top of Zora's River too. It's completely free to cast your line out here and do some bobber fishing around the outskirts of the pond where you can catch green gills, Hyrule bass, or empty cans and sticks if the game feels like trolling you. It can take a while to get a bite this way, but to speed things up, you can use baits, either in the form of bee larvae or worms. However, this method of fishing is considerably simpler than Ocarina of Times, as the action of reeling in a fish only consists of holding your Wii Remote upright. That's where lure fishing comes in. If you go into the hut next to the pond, you'll find the owner Henna, a woman who idolizes the fishing hole man from Ocarina of Time, going so far as to have a picture of him on her wall. She hopes that somehow, someway, she's descended from him, and I mean, hey, it's not impossible. She even has the same itch as him. She's got his attitude too, like how she bans the use of sinking lures, although you can still break this rule without her knowing, and kicks you out of a hut if you keep rolling into the walls or break too many pots. As for the actual fishing experience, well, it's a bit different from the prior titles, since this time you're on a canoe. You get to paddle leisurely around a lake, and since you're no longer limited to the circumference of the water like with bobber fishing, here you can cast your line out from anywhere. It's super chill since there's no time limit, so you can wind down and enjoy the tranquility. For 20 rupees, it's an absolute steal, or if you want, you can pay extra to have Henna accompany you and give you advice about the best places to fish, like right underneath the waterfalls or near the lilies. By default, you're able to use 3 different lure types, those being the swimmer, popper, and spinner lures, which are specialized for catching different types of fish. Once you've got a bite, it's not as simple as holding the controller upright anymore, as you have to do a reeling motion with the nunchuck simultaneously. Sometimes, the fish will even jump out of the water, and when this happens, you need to lay the Wii Remote back down or else the line will break. What's more is that each time you re-enter the fishing hole, the scenery will change between the 4 seasons. This not only affects the visuals, but also the selection of fish you can catch, with the Hylian Loach only being catchable in the summer. Given the complexity of the mechanics and the fact that there are 6 different types of fish that you can find throughout the game, this feels like a natural expansion of Ocarina of Time's fishing. They really nailed it this time around. Releasing soon after Twilight Princess, Zelda's next main series entry was Phantom Hourglass on the DS, and it's another game where you spend a lot of time at sea. They screwed this up once, but this is their second chance, their redemption. This is a massive opportunity to right the wrongs of Wind Waker, so the question is, did they take it? Well, actually, yes they did, and you know what? It is not bad at all. When you're out sailing, you'll notice some silhouettes of fish moving around on the sea chart, which you need to try and intercept. Do this and you'll be thrust into a minigame, which works similarly to Ocarina of Time's fishing, but is translated to perfectly fit the touchscreen controls of Phantom Hourglass. You can see where the fish is on the top screen, and based on its position, you need to slide your stylus on the bottom screen. Left if the fish moves to the right, and right if it moves to the left. You gotta make sure you react quickly, as if you don't, the danger meter on the side of the screen will fall. Allow it to get too low and you can say goodbye to that fish. Provided that you keep the gauge in the green zone, you're ready to start reeling in by drawing circles with your stylus. However, you need to make sure that the danger meter doesn't deplete as you're doing this, so it's a tough balancing act. Eventually, your hard work will pay off and you'll catch yourself a fish, of which there are 5 main species as highlighted by the journal. I didn't think they'd go to such lengths for Phantom Hourglass, but I'm glad they did. It made up for the massive blunder that was its omission from Wind Waker. But then, fishing took a bit of a hiatus. It was absent from Spirit Tracks and, weirdly enough, Skyward Sword as well, in spite of that game's material gathering mechanics. Fortunately, we were blessed once again by Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, although things work a bit differently when compared to previous entries. In these games, fishing isn't really a dedicated minigame or a side quest, rather it's embedded into the whole survival system. Gone is the idea of a fishing rod, as how you catch the fish is completely down to you and the resources that you have available. In some areas, like Lurelin Village, you can find fishing spears, which can be used for catching fish in a more traditional manner, but where's the fun in that? Wanna just swim into the water and grab the fish with your bare hands? You can! You wanna shoot the water with a shock arrow to electrocute them? Knock yourself out! You wanna blow them up with a remote bomb? By all means, go for it. The possibilities are never ending. But you don't just catch the fish and be done with it, oh no. For the first time in Zelda history, you can eat the fish. Not only that, but you can cook the fish, you can buy the fish, you can sell the fish. There are different types of fish, and each of them has different properties when cooked into a meal. You just need to recover health, a Hyrule Bass will get the job done. You need some extra stamina to climb that one cliff, or tame that one horse, go for a Staminoka Bass. For attack and defense, you can use the Mighty and Armored Carps respectively. Throw in some mushrooms and make yourself a skewer, add some rice to make seafood rice balls. Heck, with wheat, salt and butter, you can even bake a fish pie, just go nuts. As with the rest of Breath of the Wild, you have so much freedom here, and that is so refreshing to see. It's clear that fishing has come a long way since its humble beginnings in Link's Awakening, and hey, perhaps the next Zelda games to come will make things even bigger and better. Maybe we'll see a hybrid of the classic and modern styles, with common fish being obtainable through any means, but rarer, bigger ones that could give you stronger buffs being exclusively catchable with a fishing rod. There's a lot of scope for the future of fishing, and I'm sure whatever direction that they decide to go in will have me hooked. Yo, thanks for listening to me ramble about fishing for 10 minutes. I don't know, it's something I always enjoyed in the Zelda games, and if you enjoyed it too, I'm glad we both found comfort in this little experience. And hey, don't be afraid to share your own memories with fishing in the comments. I'd love to hear all your stories.